We were poor than poor, and all we had to keep us going was a sachet of powdered custard. Well, hello everybody and welcome into this Tuesday's entertainment news, nearly Wednesday. Look at that squinty poster. I was supposed to sort that before I came on. I didn't do it. That Batman poster's going to be vacating the premises shortly, has to be said. I'm going to get an All Quiet on the Western Front poster because I really do enjoy the shot of Paul looking back with the flak inflected sky, just beautiful hues. It's a lovely poster, but that's neither here nor there. I'm here to discuss news. In this case, it's movie news. It's not so much entertainment news because there is not a huge amount of general entertainment news out there. I tried to find music news, and I tried to find video game news. I was going to speak about the X-Files being diversified by Ryan Coogler, and I almost wish that I had put that in this show now, because it's more interesting than the topics I've actually picked. But look, I'm here to discuss one Christopher Nolan and his latest release. We are just a couple of months away from Oppenheimer, with one of my favourite actors in the game today as a lead in a Christopher Nolan movie, a man more accustomed to being a sort of side figure in a Christopher Nolan movie up until this point. Very interesting side figures, it has to be said. Scarecrow in the Dark Knight trilogy, and of course he was the man everyone was hunting, trying to get into his thoughts, into his dreams in Inception. I do love Cillian Murphy, and it's no surprise that Matt Damon has been out waxing lyrical about the man's performance in this movie. But not just waxing lyrical about Cillian Murphy's performance, he has let the cat out of the bag. The cat out of the bag, I think that's the right word. The rabbit out of the hat. Do you let cats out of bags? I'm terrible at sayings, I really am. He's let the rabbit out of the hat, the cat out of the bag, whatever the saying is, about the running time of the upcoming Oppenheimer movie. And as you can see here, 3 hours long. Now, I did initially think in my mind's eye, and what I've realised now, that when I get back to this scene, I'm going to get this stupid fucking intro starting up again, so we'll deal with that right now. I did initially think when I read this, it's just an initial cut. All movies are quite long in their runtime in the first instance of the movie, and then it's cut down again and again and again. Studio interference. The director himself may just decide, I don't like this, I don't like how that's flown. The editor will have a say too. The movie will come down, they'll maybe shave 20 minutes, 40 minutes off the movie, whatever it may be. But that's not going to be the case with Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is, I think it's about 2 months away, 3 months away. They tell you in this article when it comes out, this is the movie we're going to get. It's going to be just shy of 3 hours long. And I've actually got an article here that's going to go through all of the known runtimes, and I'm going to compare those movies to this one. Obviously they're not comparable in any way because they are completely different movies, and the initial movies that no one was releasing were completely different in scale. This is a biopic about one of the most influential men of the last 100 years. So we'll get into it. Look, if Chad Stahelski's made an eye on 3-hour movie with John Wick Chapter 4 and it's just an action movie with Keanu Reeves gun toting and spinning cars around the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, then Lord knows I think Christopher Nolan has earned the right to tell a 3-hour story. Whatever the fuck he chooses that story to be, he's earned the right. It's Christopher Nolan. When you do take Cillian Murphy and you do take the concept of Oppenheimer, then I think it's necessary that we do a deep dive into this guy's trials, tribulations, the highs, the lows of his life. It's based on, as you can see here, does it say it there? It does say at some point in this article it's based on an award-winning novel about the man's life, warts and all. But look, we'll get into it. Matt Damon was speaking to Variety, I think it's a red carpet moment, and he had this to say about the J. Robert Oppenheimer movie. He said this, very short and sweet, succinct. You know you're getting better at discussing shit in front of a camera live when you can take that quote there on your own and speak about it, as long as I'm about to speak about it. That's when you know you're comfortable in front of the camera now, or comfortable, as some people like to say, some cretins from these aisles. This is what Matt Damon had to say. It's 3 hours. It's fantastic. Cillian is phenomenal. He's everything you would want him to be. I think it's almost 3 hours. It goes so fast. It's great. Look, we're at a stage now in cinema with audiences. The horse has long since fucking bolted, man. It's too late to shut the barn doors. The horse is gone. We're accustomed now to 3-hour movies. Marvel has been releasing 3-hour movies, for fuck's sake, with superheroes. It's something we're accustomed to now. Sitting in a theatre between 2.5 and 3 hours, sometimes over 3 hours. I just did it with Avatar not long ago. I've done it with it. I've done it with a whole lot of movies over the last 5, 6, 7 years. 3-hour long movies. I can hold my water. I can sit and drink and eat popcorn for 2.5, 3 hours and comfortably see the movie out without having to go and have a little break in the loo. It's nothing for me, it's nothing for most audiences. Most people just want to see high calibre cinema, high calibre storytelling from the world's best. What was it your man from Liam Payne says? Emoters, the world's best emoters. That's what we want. We want Cillian Murphy leading a Nolan movie, delivering a jaw-dropping performance, giving us goose sort of bump moments, and just high calibre cinema. And if it requires 3 hours to tell that story, then so be it. I'm going to bring this up and go through his previous runtimes, and you begin to realise that just shy of 3 hours, whatever it may be, he is a bit coy with it. And perhaps he just doesn't remember the exact fucking running time, but he says 3 hours or just shy of 3 hours. So when you go through, I mean, and this is some of his longer movies, you go through the runtime. The Following was his first movie. It was just over an hour long. It doesn't really count. You can score that out. It was his first feature-length movie. He was just getting himself acquainted with the whole filmmaking business in terms of feature-length anyway. But that's short. That's very short. That's borderline short film. I mean, I've seen some short films with David Bowie in them that were like fucking 10 minutes long. That's pretty short for a feature-length movie. Dunkirk, 106 minutes, just over an hour and half an hour? What is that, an hour and 45? Hour and 46. Why am I having to think about the maths here? 60 minutes and an hour. Jesus Christ, John. An hour and 46 minutes long. Again, the nature of that movie, it's a very tense, high-pressured, claustrophobic almost situation. You've got the British is the Expeditionary Force, the British Army, trapped on these shores of France with the Nazi army chasing them down, or just the Wehrmacht. They weren't all Nazis, but we're not going into semantics here. The Wehrmacht hunting them down. They're trapped on these beaches. You can't overstay your welcome with that kind of story. So 106 minutes felt necessary. And again, this is going to be the prevailing theme as we go through here. Again, just a little bit longer than Dunkirk. A great movie. Very complex movie. Can't really overstay your welcome. They're the right length. They're the length that they need to be. And a filmmaker like Nolan, he's not an idiot. He's been doing this for a very long time. He's a gold standard director. He's an event director now. He's positioned himself into the same sort of space as the likes of Tarantino. The likes of, in terms of actors, Daniel Day-Lewis, what he did when he was acting. This man takes his time. He perfectly hones what he's going to create. He makes it happen. People can't sit in these fucking sets because he's that determined to keep the energy up, to have the performances there, to make magic happen in front of the camera. He knows how long the movie has to be. And if it's 118 minutes, so be it. If it's 150 fucking minutes, so be it. As we go through The Prestige, I always felt this was a long movie for some reason, but as you can see here, just over 2 hours. It's actually not that long. In modern day terms, it probably is long. It's only been a recent phenomenon, the last 5-6 years, where 3 hours has been becoming a thing. Prior to that, 2 hours was probably fucking pretty long in a theatre watching a movie. You get back to the 50s, you've got Charlton Heston doing fucking 3.5 hour epics. You back to the 80s, you've got Das Boot, it's a 5 hour experience. There was like double matinee stuff getting on back in the day when the likes of Tarantino were going and seeing cinema. So it's always changed, it's always got shorter, longer, sort of the vogue of cinema, if you like, the run times. But I always felt this was a long one, The Prestige, but it's only 130 minutes long. Batman Begins felt like a short film to me, and it's longer than The Prestige. So you see, it's all really subjective. It's about the pacing of the movie, it's about how exhilarating it is, it's about how invested you are in the storytelling. That will ultimately shape your experience and how time flows when you're in that theatre or in the house perhaps watching the movie. It's all subjective. I mean, I've seen this myself. The Batman felt like it flew past. Avatar, it felt long in periods, but in the main didn't feel like a 3 hour movie. It Chapter 2 did feel like a 3 hour movie. Andy, is it Muschietti, I think his name was havering, as we like to say here in Scotland, when he says that, yeah, the audiences he'd get accustomed to that and that it would be fine. That felt like a long movie. Horror's the one exclusion, and that sort of prevailing thought that 3 hours is fine now. Horror should never be 3 hours long. Inception, 1 hour, 148 minutes, an hour and 2 hours and 28 minutes long. Again, that's fine, it's a complex, exhilarating movie, but it's bigger in scale. There's some crazy shit going on. The storytelling necessitated 2 hours and 28 minutes, and we got it. And it was epic. And I love it. I love all the Nolan movies. Again, went to see Tenet in the pandemic era, twice in 4 days. It's fucking 2 hours and 30 minutes long. It's a complex movie. Some people still don't understand that movie to this day. It felt like it required that 2.5 hour runtime. It could have probably had another 15 minutes to explain it to the simpleton sort of crew who go and watch stuff these days and require their hands held at every moment. You're starting to get the longer side of things here for Nolan's releases now. The Dark Knight's 152 minutes long. The Dark Knight Rises 164 minutes long. And finally, the absolute epic, the toppermost of the poppermost, coming in at 169 minutes long, Interstellar. Again, what's the sort of reoccurring thing here? Complex, jaw-dropping cinema, mind-bending effects going on, requires a long run time. It just does. That's facts. And this is probably roughly where Oppenheimer's going to come in at. It's probably going to be between this and this, probably in the 165 minute range. I've not got an issue with it, man. I'm here, as I say, is ultimately to see Cillian Murphy working his magic. I'm there to see Christopher Nolan delivering another epic piece of cinema. And again, it's like, it's all subjective. You go in the theatre, and some films are an hour and a half long, they feel like they're 3 hours long. Some films are 3 hours long, they feel like they're 2 hours long. It's all subjective. I'm ready for that epicness, so am I, Derpy. It's just, some of the shots we've seen, the sort of atomic stuff, the particle stuff they're going to delve into. Getting to see a nuclear bomb, well, it's not a nuclear bomb, but he's actually doing a practical effect of a nuclear bomb going off. Just like the jumbo jet, the 747 getting crashed into an airport. That's what you go to see cinema for. When someone like that, a genius like that, releases something, you're there. It doesn't matter what the runtime is. Heard Mission Impossible 7 Dead Reckoning Part 1 test screening, say it's 3 hours and 30 minutes. I heard that as well. And again, look, it's big bombastic action, it's highly complex storytelling, it's globe-trotting. That's the reason why John Wick has to be so long. Incidentally, I've still not seen John Wick Chapter 4. I'm going to go this week and see it. I've already booked the tickets. Really looking forward to it. That's 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's an action, pretty simplistic action film with some interesting set pieces, and it's globe-trotting. Complex for John Wick, but simplistic compared to a Nolan movie. And it's nearly 3 hours long. It's just where we're at. People are more comfortable sitting in a theatre for long times now. I don't think you could have did this 10 years ago. Although no one was doing it 10 years ago. Because I've literally just fucking looked up films. And a lot of those films are like 10 years ago now. Times fly. 15 years ago. I'll change it. I'll just keep changing it to sort of my weird abstract sort of timeline. I'll just keep changing things to suit my agenda. But yeah, look, man, it doesn't matter to me. What's more interesting to me is Matt Damon absolutely praising Cillian Murphy, saying he's phenomenal, he's delivering everything you'd expect him to deliver. This guy, I maintain, is one of the most underrated actors in the business. He's not underrated because people know how good he is, but he is still kind of underrated. People still don't give him enough praise. This guy can play anything. He can play a gangster from Birmingham. He can play Oppenheimer. He can play a sort of middling villain in a superhero movie. There is nothing this guy can't deliver. He is an absolute epic actor. Brilliant, cool, effortlessly cool looks. Always get a good haircut. Get some jawline, piercing blue eyes, like one of my all-time favourite actors, Paul Newman. He's a brilliant actor. Glad to see this guy getting a leading role in a Nolan movie. I hope he hits it out the fucking park. And just my obsession with nuclear bombs, that era, World War II and what came after it, the whole race with the Soviets and the US. And obviously the human story of that. A guy like Oppenheimer, brainchild in it, with other brilliant scientists, and the regret, and obviously what comes with that. I just cannot wait to see this movie. I want it to cut down to 2 hours 45 or 2 hours 50. It's set up part 2 and half part 2. That runtime, yeah. What your man's been doing, Christopher McQuarrie, with the Mission Impossible movies has been epic, man. He's rejuvenated that franchise. Credit to J.J. Abrams, he started the ball rolling, obviously, with his movie. I think it was the one that was set in Dubai or Abu Dhabi or whatever. I'm trying to remember which one that was. But I'm really looking forward to seeing Mission Impossible. I love Fallout. It was one of my favourite movies of that year. And just, obviously, was it Rogue Nation? Was that the other one? What they've been doing with those movies, adding complexity, adding sort of ramifications that are tipping off into different movies, bringing faces back. And Cruise has been fucking epic. This guy's knocking on 60 if he isn't already. And he just continues to up the ante. By all accounts, they are shooting part 2 in the Arctic just now. I was going to talk about that as well. The Arctic. They're always up in the scale. The scale of the movie. That's the word I was looking for, the ante. So again, it's all about whether the story necessitates a long runtime. If it doesn't, don't do it. It'll be palpable, if I can speak to the audience, to the critics. They will know that you're just stretching it out for the sake of stretching it out. If it actually necessitates a long runtime, then that's what matters ultimately. And in this case, it will, because no one knows what he's fucking doing. I'm going to move on to the next topic though. Kinda talking about action, talking about Tom Cruise hanging off the side of a plane. That guy should have been recognised. And listen, I don't know what it is when I spell recognise like that. I think it's just American culture eating away at my brain, slowly but surely. But it looks wrong. But it ain't. That's the correct way to spell recognise. That's the UK way. And of course we did create the English language. So that American shit with the Z can fuck right off of the Z. That is the right way to spell recognise. Come at me, bitches. Should the Oscars recognise stunts? Chad Stahelski has been out speaking about that very matter. He said a multiple quote discussion on the matter. See, to be honest with you, it blows my mind that they don't recognise stunts already. They recognise makeup and hair. They recognise set and production design. They recognise cinematography, rightly so. They recognise the soundtracks and the scores. They recognise all the various departments that go into making a huge movie or even a small independent movie. All of the blood, sweat and tears from hundreds of people putting this masterpiece together. It's all recognised at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year because it's in March. Don't know why it says that, but it's recognised. When it comes to the Oscars and award season, I'm not entirely sure why we don't have stunts getting recognised at the Oscars, and neither does Chad Stahelski, and yet he does in a strange way. Having a franchise in separate parts now, well, which I hope gets more recognition. Well, here's hoping. But I'm going to bring this up, and as you can see here, Chad Stahelski has been out. He's been speaking about that very matter upon hearing that the Academy should consider having a stunt category. Stahelski said he doesn't think they've ever considered it. Is this it? Yeah, it is. I think if I went to the Academy right now and asked, are there any of you who think stunts shouldn't be in the Oscars, could you find a single person? I don't think so. This was Deadline he was speaking to, and he said this. He went on to further elaborate. He said there's not a single arguable reason not to have stunts in the Academy Awards. No one's going to deny that we are at least equal to every other department. In some ways you're more deserving because you're putting your life on the line. These guys are, even recently people have died doing stunts for movies. They're putting everything into it. These guys are fucking heroes. They are the ones that get you out your chair, get your heart pumping, get you excited. Even drama driven stuff has brilliant stunt work, and they don't get recognised. And we've seen it in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the brilliant story of Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth, Rick Dalton, and also the fucking Brad Pitt character. Actually, I have to search it up. I'm going to search it up right now. I'll take this off the screen while I do it in case I fuck up the title. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Bring it up. What was his name? Was it Cliff Booth? Fucking tell me, please. Come on, take this off. Oh my god. Whatever his name was anyway. You've seen the actual story of those two guys, of the concept of a leading man in Hollywood, aging though he was, Rick Dalton. And obviously his stuntman who's been by his side through thick and thin, and also they do get respected from the actual talent in Hollywood and from the actual productions, but for whatever reason they don't get the respect and the recognition when it comes to the actual award season. But I digress, went off on a fucking tangent there. We're part of every film, as much part of Hollywood lore as music, costumes, technical achievements, directing or cinematography, and none of the people in those departments will deny that. I just think we haven't had the talk. I think there's some challenges in it. The stunt department works very differently, and he goes on to explain exactly why they work very differently. And this did come to my mind when I was actually speaking internally, that is, because I've not actually spoke to anybody about this. But when I was thinking internally, I'm thinking, what would you do in that instance? How would you recognise stunt work? Would it be a sequence? Would it be one single brilliant stunt? How would you make it happen? And what he goes on to say that. And what are you giving the Oscar for? There is a great staircase fall for John Wick and a couple of great car hits. There's a great high fall out the window, but the effect of John Wick is the overall action of a movie. So you're giving the award for best stunt or best stunt sequence or best stunt constant. The stunt guys don't know the answer, and I guarantee you the Academy doesn't either. We are as relevant as any department, and I'm going to be a little arrogant and say I think we add a little something to the Oscars. It's a legitimate win-win situation. No great stunt person or performer I know is doing it for accolades or statues. It doesn't mean that much to us, but it's nice to be recognised by your peers. It's time. It really is. These people are putting their lives on the line. They make the movies what they are. They make film what it is, depending on whether you see a distinction between movies and film. I think some people think film is more for drama. I don't know. Movies is more like fucking action. I don't know. I've never really seen it being separate things. It's just a different way to actually say it. It's a different adjective explaining the exact same fucking thing. The art of cinema. They add so much to it. Why not have them recognised at the biggest award show on the earth that recognises the art of film, of cinema? I don't understand why it's not happened now. It's been going on for fucking 60, 70 years, the Oscars. I'm not actually aware of just how long it's been going on. I should, because I actually just watched it not that long ago and they said the actual number. Is it 80 odd years now? I don't know. But it's been a long fucking time and they've never fought to award the people who are putting their lives on the line, protecting the talent who don't want to do it. Some people do. Tom Cruise certainly does. Tom Cruise had an Oscar for being outside of a plane as it took off, and he'd have deserved an Oscar much more than someone getting all fucking bleary-eyed and crying and giving a rousing monologue. This man actually fucking risked his life. He was strapped to the side of a plane. You wouldn't have got me doing it. He was deserving of an Oscar for that. And the likes of Stahelski, coming from a stunt background, knowing what it takes to make these elaborate, brilliant sequences pop on the screen, he will have deserved Oscars, I'm sure, in the past. The likes of David Leitch, the stuff they've done in their movies, why not have it recognised? It's really strange. I don't know why it's not the case. If you're recognising makeup and hair, rightly so, it's an important part of the cinematic process as well. Why not recognise stunts? It is definitely time. It should happen. They were going to give us a popular movie category and then they rescinded it. Give us a fucking stunt category. Recognise these people. Give them their due. I'm moving on to the last topic of the show. It's a short and sweet one because it's very fucking late. I started this incredibly late. 11:30 at night. That's late to be doing a movie show. Very fucking late. We usually rock at 10. Sometimes earlier. But Scotland were playing Spain tonight and we fucking beat them. We're only the third team to beat Spain in 17 years in a qualifying match, and I wasn't missing that, and it was fucking epic. So that's why I'm on late. I was going to play a Scotland song before I came on, but I thought no, don't do it. It'll only get claimed. We don't want that. But yeah, look, the next Apes movie will blow people's minds. I couldn't fit that in that graphics bar. I'm insisting and sticking with that enormous font that's so wide that you can literally only get about 7 words in it. It's going to be gone for the next show. But yeah, it's Andy Serkis. He's been out speaking about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That could be the longest fucking movie title in the history of cinema. And there's way too many ofs and there's way too many this in there. And he's praised director Wes Ball. Now Wes Ball, I had to take my mind back. Who's Wes Ball? And I remembered it's the guy who did the Maze Runner movies. And I also remembered that I was in a theatre once. I can't recall the movie. And a trailer came up for the last Maze Runner movie. And it blew my mind that there had been multiple movies. This franchise existed in the universe. And I had never even fucking heard of it, let alone seen it. I didn't know anything about these movies. He's directed them all, I believe. Wes Ball, as you can see here. Maze Runner, The Scots Trials, The Death Cure. I don't know if there's any other Maze Runner movies, but he's directed all of them. I didn't know they existed. I don't even know the ratings of these movies. Are they good movies? 6.8? Do you trust IMDb? Let's see what they're rating this. 6.3. In the main, they're pretty average experiences, aren't they? Let's be honest. And diminishing returns, no less. So, this is the guy that got on board. I remember discussing this a couple of years ago when it was announced they were bringing Wes Ball on to direct a new Planet of the Apes movie. Of course, this happened after the Fox-Disney merger. Disney got their hands on Fox's rights to the Planet of the Apes, and they were going to reboot it. It was going to be a whole new story. Now we're actually discovering what I am for the first time tonight, that it's actually a continuation of the Caesar story. It's actually Caesar's son, and that there is potential for Andy Serkis to reprise his role, be it maybe a flashback, maybe an actual, I don't know, ghostly other real form, maybe giving words of wisdom, speaking words to wisdom, I can't even speak tonight, speaking words of wisdom. That'll be the last time I butcher Macca's incredible lyrics. I will stay well clear of the Beatles lyrics. It's a fucking blasphemy. But yeah, he could potentially appear, Andy could come back, and of course, I loved the Planet of the Apes movies. I loved them as a kid growing up, the original ones. They were a bit corny, like all things were back then, because they just didn't have the effects, they didn't have the access to groundbreaking makeup work. I mean, it kind of was groundbreaking for the time, I suppose, but it felt a little bit clunky. But that was part of the charm. So I really enjoyed those movies. My grandfather used to regale me with them, watching them. And then, of course, there was a shite remake, I want to say, with Mark Wahlberg or something like that. It wasn't so good. And then, of course, we got the one in, I think, 2014 or something. I always remember it, Tom Felton. Really enjoyed that. That was almost an origin story. And then your man Matt Reeves steps in and sticks a landing with the last two. And they were brilliant movies. I think it was War for the Planet of the Apes. Or no, that was the last one. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I don't know, I've lost the fucking plot. There was three, and I enjoyed them all. That's the point I'm making. And that really showed that there was scope for this franchise to maybe live a new life in this sort of rebooted world with this much better CG, motion capture stuff going on, allowing the actors to really deliver a brilliant performance, fully computer generated. And obviously, no better man to do that than Gollum himself. Andy Serkis, a man who I also have respected for years and years and years. I don't think he gets the respect he deserves. Fucking outstanding actor. Not just mocap work, but actual live action. And I was delighted that he, along with Ahmed Best most recently in The Mandalorian, got a chance to prove that in Andor with a live action performance. After Snoke, he got wronged with Snoke. Snoke could have been a really interesting character. And he could have gave us a brilliant performance. But then they decided to go down this strange fucking route of killing him off in the middle movie and then making him some fucking puppet to Chief Palpatine in the last movie. It was me all along. It was like Agatha fucking Harkness in WandaVision. So I'm glad he got the chance to deliver that performance. But where I'm going with this is he did deliver a brilliant performance as Caesar. It was groundbreaking. It was award-worthy. And yeah, when that ended, I thought that was probably the natural conclusion, but there was that thing at the back of the mind that perhaps there is potential for more from this Planet of the Apes franchise. When Disney got a hold of it, I did have reservations, purely because it's Disney, and they like to commodify everything. Sometimes not for the best reasons, and sometimes they water the content down to the point where it's nowhere near what Matt Reeves and Andy Serkis were delivering. But look, Andy's been out speaking. I don't know how he is privy to some of these backstage delights, as you can see here, but he is. Also, being Caesar himself grants him, they have bestowed him some inside information, and he's fucking Andy Serkis. Who wouldn't give him information? The man's a fucking legend. And this is what he had to say. He can't speak highly enough of the project. As you can see, this coming in from MovieWeb once again. I think Wes Ball is going to do an amazing job with this film. I think it's, from what I've heard and what I've seen, there's some amazing conceptual artwork, and where they've chosen to land the story and take off with the next iteration, I think it's going to blow people's minds. And as you can see down here, they have kindly gave us plot details for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and it's been revealed that the sequel will pick up many years after Caesar's journey ended. Many ape societies have grown from when the Moses, like Caesar, brought his people to an oasis. Love that. I love that construct, that sort of visual they're presenting us there. He is the Moses of the apes. Great. Well, humans have been reduced to a pharaoh-like existence. Some ache like a pharaoh-like. We are pharaoh-like even now, mate. Not reduced. We are the worst. Agent Smith was right. We're a virus on this earth. We just rape the natural world of all of its resources, and then we move off to another part. But a virus. He was absolutely bang on. We are pharaoh-like. We've not been reduced to it in this movie, this existence make-believe world. We currently are pharaoh-like. We have never grown beyond it. We never will. We're bastards. This goes on to say, some ape groups have never heard of Caesar, while others have contorted his teaching to build burgeoning empires. The description reads, in this setting, one ape leader begins to enslave other groups to find human technology, while another ape, who watched his clan be taken, embarks on a journey to find freedom. A young human woman becomes key to the latter's quest, although she has plans of her own. I think that sounds brilliant. My phone's just cut out, so I don't have a fucking stream deck anymore. Wonderful stuff. I think that sounds like a really interesting concept, man. I've got hopes that Wes Ball is the guy to do this, and I'm just going to move that back over there because it's getting in my way. I've got high hopes that Wes Ball could be the man to deliver this, and I've got high hopes, and I trust Andy Serkis when he comes out and says it's going to blow people's minds, because this man knows what he's talking about. He's been round the block more than a few times, and when it comes to this franchise and what is required to deliver a great Planet of the Apes story, few people will know more than Andy. I just want to see Andy getting a sort of small cameo role at the very least in this movie and maybe subsequent movies. He's almost like a Mustafa figure in the ear of Simba. Maybe other real, maybe just a voice, anything. Just bring him back, man. Make it happen. And hopefully it'll work. Hopefully Disney will deliver something special with these movies, because look, there's always scope for more Planet of the Apes movies, and just the core message it delivers about humanity and where we go wrong, and the sort of hubris and the arrogance that we exhibit all the time, that we are eternal, that we can't be knocked off our perch, that we're the best and we'll be here for millennia. We won't. If we don't change our ways, we certainly will not. Something will wipe us the fuck out, and some other life form will take over, right as rain, and replace us. I think that's an important message to get out in movies. And just this sort of concept of animals getting treated lesser than humans as well, that's an interesting thing. It was explored certainly in the first rebooted movie. The Tom Felton character was a bit of a prick towards animals, let's be honest. I think he was. Am I doing Tom wrong? Was that his character? Was he the actual owner of Caesar? Someone was treating him wrong anyway, and he got the shit kicked out of him in the movie when the apes started breaking out. It's an important message to convey that we aren't. We are the best on the planet, let's be honest, we are, but the animals are every bit as important. They're great, they're intelligent in their own ways, and we can explore that in the medium of cinema, and we should continue doing it. That's going to sum it up, man. I am done speaking. It's been a short and sweet show, quite taut at 37 minutes. You subtract about 2.5 minutes for the actual song, shite copyright free song, that's about 35 minutes. That's not long or over a half an hour, so I'm quite happy with that, considering how much I enjoy speaking and like the sound of my own voice. What's your thoughts on the topics I touched upon though? What do you make about the Christopher Nolan Oppenheimer? Epic's just a few months away, coming in at 3 or just shy of 3.5 hours long. That runtime revealed by none other than Matt Damon, who also praised Cillian Murphy, the leading man's performance in the movie, says he was phenomenal. Everything you'd want him to be in this movie. Are you excited for Oppenheimer? Is 3 hours too long? Is it just right? Do you agree with me though, that regardless of whether you think it's right or not, Christopher Nolan is a fucking genius, and he ultimately is the best man to decide how long his movies are? Of course he is. If you disagree, get the fuck out of here. No, I'm joking. Comment down below if you've got anything to say. You can also comment about John Wick director Stahelski coming out and championing the cause of stunt men, women, coordinators, directors, whatever you want to call it, saying that stunts should be recognised, not just at the Academy Awards. He was referencing the Academy Awards, but in general, should stunts be recognised? Should the hard work of people risking it all to deliver us at jaw-dropping, incredible action in movies, and just moments in movies, should they be given awards for their hard work? Shout your thoughts down below about that. Finally, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Andy Serkis out, praising the concept, praising Wes Ball, saying it's going to blow people's minds. Are you excited for a new Planet of the Apes, potentially trilogy, franchise, certainly this movie? Anything you feel compelled to share can go down below in the comment section. That's the place to put it. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to your eyeballs. Do the same thing over on Twitch. Follow button, notifications button over there. You see us gabbing a lot of shite on a different platform. All that's left to be said is thank you for watching us, no? And until the next time, I am done. Bye. That was a good point to get out. I was starting to slip there. Bye-bye. And thank you for the comments. Appreciate it.